Hello and welcome to my channel. It's your friend Fabulous, and today I have something very important for you guys. Before I get into what I have for you guys today, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Hit the notification bell so that you can get videos whenever I release them. Like this video and drop a comment. I put in so much work in providing this solution, this value for you guys. Alright, so please encourage the channel to grow so that we can do more. Alright, so today I have something very important, which is understanding types of shares, CAC registration. Understanding types of shares in CAC registration. Okay, I want to say this before I get started. Private company limited by share registration is technical. It's not just going to the platform and filling this form. There are technicalities that are put into consideration when incorporating a private company limited by shares. And today I'm going to be talking about the technicalities in shares, in different types of shares. Okay, if you have done it before, you will know that we have the two types of shares, which are ordinary and preference shares. So today I want to share some lights in this so that you can understand these types of shares and avoid unnecessary mistakes that will put your business in trouble or in unnecessary legal battle with your founders or other shareholders. Okay, so stay glued to the end of this video because I'm going to be making key points. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so before I get started, I want to define what share is. Okay, a lot of persons have contacted me, and from the conversation that I had with them, I discovered that you don't even understand what share is. Okay, maybe they saw a sample of what someone did and they copied and paste and all that kind of thing, but so let's talk about what share is before we get into the different types. Okay, in simple terms, a share is a percentage of ownership in a company or a financial asset. Okay, so it's that simple. Investors who hold shares of any company are known as shareholders. Okay, now as we go further, you discover that there are two types of investors. Basically there are two types of investors. Okay, so we also have what is known as share capital. Like share capital in simple terms is the shares that was raised to start a business. Okay, so that is it. Capital is one of the factors of production. Okay, yes, factors of production. We have factors of production in economics. So capital is one of them. Okay, so share capital is the amount of money that was contributed to start a company, and there are companies that requires more share capital. It's not all companies that you can incorporate with 1 million share capital, just like we have security companies which requires minimum of 10 million share capital. We have financial companies which require minimum of 20 million share capitals, and we have other types of companies that requires higher share capitals. Okay, so let's get into different types of shares. So just like I've said, we have ordinary and preference shares. So ordinary shares are also known as common or equity shares. It's that simple. Okay, so these words can be used interchangeably, right? So let's define ordinary shares. In simple terms, ordinary shares are founders shares. So these are types of shares that are given or that are issued to founders, the founders of the business. Okay, because this type of shares, it gives some certain privilege that the other, which is preference share, does not, such like voting rights. Okay, voting rights. Okay, so ordinary shares are equity ownership units that are issued by the company to its founders. So these shares have certain privileges that the preference share lacks, such as voting right, but are also paid last during liquidation. That is, when the company want to close operation, these type of shareholders get paid last. Okay, and distribution of dividends also. Preferential shareholders are paid first when dividends is shared. while ordinary shareholders, are paid last. Okay, so let's move on to preference shareholders. In simple terms, preference share is investors' share. Okay, so let me define as you see on my screen. Preference shares are equity ownership units that are issued to investors by a company. No, be careful here. It's not just what it is. There are different types of preference shares, and I'm going to be dealing with that. I'm going to be highlighting it for you so that you understand it. Okay, so the owners of this share enjoy a form of security. Not really, not all. Okay, when we start considering the types now, you discover that it's not all that enjoy this kind of security. When it comes to distribution of dividends and payback, whenever the business is wound up, right? So preference share is investor shares, while ordinary shares, founders shares. Okay, does not mean that ordinary shares cannot be given to investors, but when you are a holder of an ordinary shares in any company, it means that you have a voting right. Just know that. Okay, so different types of shares, like I've said, we have ordinary and preference shares. So let's see the differences between ordinary and preference shares. So ordinary shares, shareholders have voting rights. Preference shareholders don't have voting rights. Though there are cases where preference shareholders can have voting rights. Please take note of that. Okay. Then dividends are paid last to ordinary shareholders. Okay, but preference shareholders are prioritized in dividend distribution. So in a quarter, when a company wants to share profit dividend, they pay preference shareholders. They prioritize payment to preference shareholders first before they are paid. Okay, next is paid last in the event of liquidation. When the company wants to wind up, the ordinary shareholders are paid last, while preference shareholders are prioritized also in payment. Okay, then the next is dividend varies on performance. Yes, the dividends that an ordinary shareholder gets, it varies by the performance of the company, but preference shareholder, they have a fixed dividend irrespective of performance. So when the company do well and they pay off dividend shareholders, the ordinary shareholders can enjoy higher or lower dividends. Okay, so it can be an advantage, it can be a disadvantage. So like I've said, ordinary shareholders are issued to founders, while preference shareholders are issued to investors. So I'm going to be talking about different types of preference shareholders in the next slide, so that you will understand when you are investing in a company, you will know, you have to take note of the type of shares that are assigned to you. All right, so types of preference shares. Okay, we have cumulative preference shares, non-cumulative preference shares, participatory preference shares, convertible preference shares, and redeemable preference shares. So cumulative preference shares, so these are types of shares that accumulate when they are not paid. Okay, they accumulate even when they are not paid. So non-cumulative preference shares, they don't accumulate, even when they are not paid. For example, the company in a quarter had losses. If you are a non-cumulative preference shareholder, you might not be paid, dividends in that quarter, and you can't get it any other time. But if you're a cumulative preference shareholder, if you are not paid, it accumulates. Your shares accumulate, when paid and when not paid. So you're going to be paid off, right? Then we have participatory preference shares. So these are assigned. The key thing about participatory preference share is that the dividend that they get are fixed. Okay, and also when the company make a bigger gain, a bigger profit, their dividends can also increase. So that is one thing about participatory. Then convertible preference shares. So these are assigned to shareholders who can have a privilege of converting their preference share to ordinary shares so that they can have voting rights. Okay, so that is one thing about convertible. So it's convertible. You can convert convertible preference shares to ordinary shares so that you can have voting rights and become an ordinary shareholder. Okay, and then we have the last but not the least, redeemable preference share. So these are type of preference share that can be redeemed by the company from the shareholder, from the preference shareholder. The company can redeem it back after a specific time. Okay, so when investing in a company, try and understand the type of share the companies are assigning to you. Is it ordinary share? If it is preference share, what type of preference share are assigned to you? So it's very important that you find out these details before you invest or before you assign shares to your shareholders, to people that are interested in investing in your business. Okay, so that is what I have for you guys today. I believe that you've gotten a lot of information from what I have just shared. Okay, so you can drop a comment or suggestion or add to what I have explained in this video in the comment section so that other persons can learn. Okay, thank you very much for joining me in this video. So before I go, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, like this video and share it with your friend. I put in so much to create this content for you guys, and one of the way you encourage the channel to grow is by subscribing. Thank you, and still remain your friend Pablo. See you in the next video. Bye for now.